it's a real honor to have Roger Ballen with us tonight. Some of you might know of him, some of you might not. My name is Jamie House. I'm co-director of Community Photograph Studios UK. Ballen's photographs span over decades, quite strange and extreme sometimes. It's a real kick to the throat. They're quite raw. They challenge us. They take us to a journey within ourselves, so within our own psyche, and we can kind of, try to imagine and unravel kind of Roger's psyche as well. Real deep recesses of the mind, really stark black and white images. Lots of primitive drawings, animals, dolls. You can really smell the macabre yearnings. In his work, there's some intensity with it, which is hard to put your finger to, but really incredible. Roger was born in New York in 1950, but for over 30 years he's lived and worked in South Africa. His work as geologist took him into the countryside and led him to photograph like the hidden world of kind of small South African towns as well. So we've got a selection of questions. I don't want it to be too didactic. It's more of a conversation between myself and Roger. But yeah, I'm gonna make a start really. So yeah, great to have you, Roger. So thinking about the kind of current climate, this COVID-19, some people might call it house arrest. Some people call it social isolation. And you've talked a little bit about, when we talked the other night, about you've got more time to do painting, which you haven't done for a long time. Can you talk about that a little bit, guys?
Yeah, so I've been wanting to actually focus on painting, just painting outside of doing painting for my photographs, because as you know, for the last, say, 20 years in nearly every photograph, there's a drawing and painting, but for the purpose of a photograph, ultimately. And, I've been wanting to actually just make paintings, just on canvas. Yeah. And the last time I did this, believe it or not, was in 1973 when I was a young man and I spent about 4 or 5 months in New York City. Okay. And I made a series of paintings. And I've always said that this series that I did for 4 or 5 months in 1973 was a very crucial period in my development as an artist, because, I did this for 4 or 5 months and then I stopped and I never did it again. But I felt like I didn't finish it. And I also felt that I understood painting in some way or another, and I liked it a lot. So it took me like 30 years to get back to it, but I got back to it through photography. So if you look in my photographs beginning at about 2000 or so, you start to see drawing and painting in the photographs. And so it took me like 30 years almost to figure out how to link drawing, painting, and photography. And, I built on this, and this has become an important part of my style, drawing and painting. So, I've been obsessed with this, as I said, for about maybe 20 years now in the photographs. But only recently did it occur to me that I should start showing some of these paintings. So I have a very big show now at Hall Saint-Pierre in Paris. It's closed, unfortunately, now because of the virus, but hopefully it'll be open again before it officially closes on July 31st of this year. So, but in this show, I show paintings of mine and other people's paintings. So it's more and more of my exhibitions will contain this. And so this so-called lockdown gave me the opportunity of doing the paintings, because I'm always busy taking pictures or doing something in the office or doing this or doing that. And I never had the time to actually sit and do these things. So when I heard there was going to be a lockdown here, I immediately got the materials together so I could begin this process.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, that's a great place, isn't it? I think, yeah, lots of time for self-reflection and to pick up things we haven't done for a long time. Like you said, it's kind of out of the ordinary, isn't it? So why not react to that kind of environment and immerse yourself? Yeah, fantastic. Yes. So yeah, like you said, a lot of your work does combine the paintings as well. And, lots of, the work you've done with Diane Wood was really interesting as well, I thought. And some of even, some of the clothing they wear, and their style, they call it the Zef style. I'm not sure what that means, but yeah, it's interesting that they've embodied that within the pop culture and, used that as part of their thing as well. Can you talk a little bit about how you met and worked with Diane Wood?
In 2005 or 2006, they sent me a message and they said, Mr. Ballen, they still call me Mr. Ballen. we gave up everything we did.
Hmm.
And after we saw your book Outland and Shadow Chamber, and we gave up everything we did for almost a whole year, and we now reinvented ourselves as the Antwerp. And so they sent me this note in about 2005 or 6, and I said, well, that's interesting. But they lived in Cape Town, and I lived in Johannesburg.
Okay.
So Yolandi came to Johannesburg here a few times. We got to know each other a bit. And, you know, we talked about making videos and doing this and doing that. In fact, I took the first official picture of the Antwerp. It's in the Ballen book.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so then I guess it must have been 2007, 2008, you know, that we were working on these videos to some degree. I was giving them ideas on the drawings, and they were putting these drawings of mine on their clothes, and then some of the people that they were working with in the videos had something to do with my aesthetic at the time. And they put one or two of these videos on YouTube. Now you got to really understand something. In 2006, 7, 8, whenever it was, YouTube was like a new thing.
Sure, yeah,
People did. Everybody did. I didn't even know what YouTube was, to tell you the truth. I didn't know what it was when their first videos were on. I didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
And this, you know, but it went immediately viral. I think they got 8 million hits on their first one in a week. And all of a sudden, they just became an international celebrity immediately. And this I was as much amazed as they were, I guess. You know, they did this living in South Africa. They weren't living in New York or LA. You know, they sent this video off, I think, to some radio station or whatever, television station, and somehow or another it just went viral.
Yeah.
And then we kept talking for some time, again and again and again, and then this ultimately culminated in Freaky Video.
Oh yeah, Freaky.
Now 150 million hits.
Right.
And I always tell people, you know, what was really important to me as an artist regarding this relationship were two important things. One, it introduced my work to a lot of young people.
Yeah.
I have a lot of young people who are interested in what I do. And secondly, because I didn't ever realize the power of videos, but one wouldn't have thought about it too much in that time because people weren't putting videos online very much. But it then occurred to me that this is a great opportunity to get my aesthetic out and to try to go into videos and make a parallel art form, just not do a video for the sake of making a video, but making a parallel art form. So all the projects that I did from Freaky onward, which is 2012 to now, all have a video with them. And I, you know, just made another film myself for another project. And I also am the creative director of the feature film that hopefully will come out this year with the Antwerp. It's a 90-minute feature film, and I'm the director of a documentary on them. So hopefully we'll be seeing more of my material as it relates to what they're doing.
Yeah, fantastic. It must be great to see your work really embodied. I think it's very risk-raw, it's very raw. Their styles, is very bizarre, macabre, I guess. It's kind of a mixture of styles, but I think it really embodies your aesthetic. But the music's, it's quite diverse, I guess. It's quite interesting. Like you say, there's a big audience. There's a huge audience there. But a lot of their work, I think, it is quite disturbing in a lot of ways. I don't know why. Like, I think you're Freaky and what's the other track? Fatty Boom Boom. I think, there's
a lot of things. So it was very edgy and very different, you know, and you know, too much of what you see is in these music videos is kissy kissy, lovey lovey, good guy, bad guy. It's all that's all the same stuff, you know. Yeah. So this thing was very different. It had a bit of a metaphoric quality to it. It wasn't just kissy kissy, make uppy, makey uppy. You know, it had something deeper meaning to it. Sure. And it was in black and white, and it had the drawings, and it just had so many things that the audiences around the world weren't used to, and I think that's one of the reasons that it went viral.
Absolutely, it's quite fresh, isn't it? It's very unusual. Yeah, I haven't really seen anything like that before, but I was immediately hooked. I don't know why I was hooked. I guess I'm drawn to darker, macabre things myself, so maybe that's the way for me. But interesting video. I guess that leads me to you were talking about the video work you've done, and you produce video for a particular reason. yeah, I was quite blown away by your Asylum of the Birds. You know, watching that film. Could you talk about that? I think it's really, yeah, quite disturbing, quite disorientating as well. I was quite disorientated. I couldn't really relax. There's a real friction going on, but I was really intrigued as well. How did that work come about? How did you start making that film work?
Well, I spent about 5.5 years, I think from 2008 to about 2014, making the Asylum of the Birds book. So I worked in this place that I refer to as the Asylum of the Birds for 5 or 6 years, 3, 4, 5 times a week. I used to go there, and you know, it was my goal for every picture in the photographic book to have a bird in it. So if you look at the ins and outs of the book, you see every picture has a bird, whether it's a drawing, sculpture, real bird, dead bird in it. Anyways, when I finished the book series, I said to myself, well, you know, we need to have a video with it, because as I mentioned, after I did Freaky with the Antwerp, I said every project has to have a video. So I thought, well, I better make a video of the Asylum of the Birds house before something happens to it. I have to preserve it, because, you know, the pictures are one thing. You know, they're little pieces of the place, but a video or a film is like more of a narrative, more of a documentary. It shows more facets, I guess, than a still photograph. And so it's very important to me to do this film, you know, with the book. And so we made the film documenting the place and some of the people, and giving people a feeling of how people and animals live together. And also it says something about my photographic process and the type of world that I try to create.
Sure. It's a very unique world. It's a very Ballen-esque world. Well, I guess it's a world a lot of people are not familiar with, but it's a real insight. Can you talk about your kind of relationship with the people in that film, the people you filmed? Do you know these people? How do you know, what is
Well,
that?
I spent like 5.5 years in this place, so I knew everybody well. But you know, it's these places that I worked in for many, many years are difficult places. There are people who are homeless. There are places of violence, of poverty, of insanity. And so, you know, if you don't get along with the people and the people don't like you and respect you, you're going to either lose your camera, get beaten up, or something bad's going to happen. You're just not going to survive in this place for 5.5 years if you don't have a positive relationship. So I always see the relationships as a two-way street. You know, the people, I always went out of my way to help people and be nice and kind to them, and they started to like me a lot. And you know, to this day, not only people from the Asylum of the Birds contact me usually at least once a day. You know, I have people contacting me from 25, 30 years ago, times during the week. So, you know, I just couldn't have done any of this if I didn't have a good relationship with the people. It wasn't just going in there and taking pictures and running out. You know, you spend 5 years in a place like that. You know, you have to develop the relationships. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. It just won't work.
Absolutely. That's interesting, isn't it? I think that approach, I think not all photographers do that, but it's this kind of documentary approach. You're really getting to know your subjects, your characters, and like you say, you get more out of them. You know, that immersion, that spending time with them, it really comes out in photographs. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. The next question is kind of about your previous life.
But what I was just saying, getting to know people isn't always, it's only part of the answer, because, you know, getting to know people is talking. Now you got to figure out how you're going to make the photograph, and that's a visual qualities that you've got to seek. And the people can sit and talk for the rest of their lives, but it doesn't necessarily help you with the photograph. I always say a camera doesn't have ears.
Sure. It's hard, isn't it, to translate, I guess, somebody's psyche or kind of inner, I don't know, turmoil on film, on you know, using an aesthetic.
Yeah, it's ultimately my aesthetic, you know, more than anything else. You know, you've got to finding my aesthetic in their aesthetic. So it's not, I'm not, you know, I always say it's like anybody could go in this same place and spend the next 1,000 years there. They still wouldn't take the same pictures as I do. And people don't understand that. They think it's an objectification, a process. But for example, if I was a poet or I was Picasso, you would naturally fully appreciate that you couldn't write the same poems, and you would certainly appreciate that you can make an art like Picasso. And photography is no different. People just don't understand this.
Absolutely.
That's why they just can't. Most people, as much as they try, they just can't make a photograph of any real meaning. It seems easy because the phone does all the work, but to create something that has some innate intensity and says something of value, it's not easy.